Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the BlackBrazilToday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So today got a, I don't know, maybe it's an entertaining type of video, but at the same time, it's kind of a serious video. Definitely, this is how a lot of people saw it. It was a mixture of both. It was kind of funny, but at the same time, it's not funny, right? Um, Today's video, I'm calling it, now I ain't saying she a gold digger. 17-year-old soccer star's mother cuts girlfriend out of picture. They're too young for marriage. So what am I talking about here? Anybody who's into Brazilian soccer knows the young star named Endrick. 17-year-old guy. He's already signed up. As soon as he turns 18, he's headed over to Spain to play for one of Europe's top soccer teams, Real Madrid. Okay. But people are talking about, his girlfriend. Uh, I've done past videos about this particular topic, both the financial aspect as well as, his, let's say his choice off field. So before I get into this video today, make sure you like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Definitely click on that notification bell. So let me go ahead and get into this video because this is definitely entertaining. Let's check it out. Okay, so what's going on here? This is Endrick right here, and this is his mother, and this is his father, and this is the talk show host name. I think his name is Pedro Bial. And anybody who, like I said, if you're a soccer fan in Brazil, you're going to know who Endrick is, to be in the position that he is and only age 17. And like I said, Brazil is like a factory for, superstar soccer players. This has been going on for, 60, 70 years, maybe. I mean, going all the way back to Pele. Okay. That Brazil is constantly, grooming new soccer stars. And in this day and age, they all go over to Europe because they can make a whole lot more money than they would just playing in Brazil. So, what I want to talk about today is Endrick's status. As I said, he's 17 right now. He'll only turn 18 in July. Um, so he can't actually go over to play in Europe until he turns 18. So Real Madrid already had him, signed up, I think in like December of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Sometime out within the last 6 months, I did a video talking about uh, Brazil's players being having some of the highest transfer values in international football, international soccer. What that means is how much a team plays to get that player's services. Sometimes they pay the club where they come from, and then you add that to the how much money they're going to be playing the star, to for their services, and that's a lot of money that they'll put up. Like Endrick's contract, if I'm not mistaken, I think he signed a contract that's well worth about 60 million euros. Guy signed a contract for 60 million euros. There's a few others here that estimated to be around 64 here. Real Madrid to sign 16-year-old Endrick and 64 million euro transfer, 60 millions for Brazilian Wonder Kid. So we've been seeing this going on for a long time. I remember when Neymar went over to play for, I think it was Barcelona. I mean, it was like one of the biggest, player transfer, most costly, expensive player transfers in like soccer history, you know. And it's not just Neymar. I mean, this every year you get a new. There's always going to be a Brazilian who's going to be like, oh, this is the new Pele, all right. So they go over to Europe and they make way more money than they would ever make in Brazil. So the second issue here is this question of palmitaging. Again, I talk a lot about this, the idea specifically Black Brazilian women back in, I would say somewhere between 2011, 2013 came up with this term of, palmiteiro and palmitaging. The terms mean the palmitaging refers to the predilection they see of Black, well-to-do Black men who always marry and have families with white women. Okay. People who participate in that are called palmiteiros. Okay. Then we're going to talk about Endrick's girlfriend, who is, and see, when I first reported on this, 6 months ago, I didn't even check the age difference. Endrick is 17 and his girlfriend is 21. You know, if you haven't already seen the video, I'll give you a guess what she looks like. Then we're going to talk about Maria Chuteiras in Brazil. Maria Chuteira. A chuteira are the cleats that soccer players wear on the field. And just adding the name Maria, it just means a gold digger. You know, women who hang out at the soccer stadiums looking to, going fishing to get, get with the rich athletes. You know, I've already talked about in a previous video how some women are very open about it. Like, hey, if he's not a soccer player, I'll stick with the guy that I have now. But, okay, so if a woman is willing to leave the guy she's with to get with a soccer star, what do you think is leading her to have that position? It ain't hard to tell. Then it was funny because Endricke's mom is what everybody's talking about these days. Like mom Dukes ain't having it. She see what's going on and she's speaking out. Then I want to talk about, just to put this further into context, to see this is something that goes on all over the world. It's not just Brazil. Everybody's heard about Shaq's ex-wife by now. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that as this video goes on. So again, what happened? Endricke's mother provokes controversy after cutting player's girlfriend out of picture. Okay, so this is Endrick and his girlfriend. Again, this is his mother, his father, and the TV host Bial. So the controversy was like this. This was how the photo was supposed to look. This is how it was originally taken. 5 people in the picture, but then you see on the bottom picture, when Endricke's mother posted the picture online, she actually cut the girl out of the picture. What's going on here? So let's go ahead and take a look at this and get into this story. So after generating repercussion when talking about a possible marriage involving Endrick and Gabrielle Miranda, the player's girlfriend, Endricke's mother provoked controversy by posting a photo while participating in the program Entrevista com o Bial, right? Interview with Bial, what that means if you translate it in English. Some fans noticed the difference from the original photo, which soon went viral on social media. Why did his mother cut the girl out of the picture? The subject arose when the conversation on the show took place about a possibility of marriage between Endrick, 17, and Gabrielle, 21, when the Palmeiras forward moves to Spain, where he will play for the Real Madrid soccer club. So we know that, you see a few black play. This is the Real Madrid team. You see Vinicius Jr. here, who's been in a lot of controversy ever since he joined the team. You see a number of black players, including one of the players on this team is also Rodrigo. That looks like Rodrigo right there, if I'm not mistaken. So, Europe is accustomed to seeing Brazilian players coming over to play over there. So, about to move to Europe and join Real Madrid as he soon turns 18, or as soon as he turns 18, Endrick commented on his dream of getting married young and starting a family on the Conversa com Bial show. However, the player's mother ended up speaking sincerely and disapproved of her son's desire to walk down the aisle so young. Okay, Conversa com Bial. He's been a popular journalist for many years in Brazil. Really popular interview show. During the response to the topic, Endrick claimed that everything he does goes through his parents first. Cynthia, the player's mother, in turn spoke up, highlighting that they are too young to think about this. She went on to say that there's still a lot ahead of them. So again, Endrick's girlfriend, Endrick's mother, and Endrick right here. The only thing we know for sure is that he will go there and shine with the boys at Real Madrid. This is why my husband and I went through what we did to be here. It's a dream come true, Cynthia said, recalling the sacrifices she made for her family. Again, Endrick and his the love of his life and his mother. Pedro Bial then asked Gabrielle if she really wants to swap life in Brazil for Spain, and the model wasn't sure. Will it be? It's still unknown. We are still working things out, she explained, looking visibly uncomfortable with the subject. I mean, it was funny. If you saw parts of this interview, it was just like you could kind of see on her face, because mom was interjecting how she really felt. And, this girl wasn't feeling, obviously she wasn't too pleased with what his mother was saying live on television. This is Endrick with the young lady. Okay. Clearly the unease between the player's girlfriend and the player's mother has been decreed. This unease between Cynthia and her son's girlfriend, Gabrielle, was visible on the program, and the climate reverberated on social networks. After appearing on a TV show, the player's mother shared a photo of the family on the Conversa com Bial program and simply cut the young woman out of the photo. Now, Gabrielle's mother has appeared on the internet sending an indirect message and supporting her daughter. On the internet, Gabrielle's mother didn't remain silent and sent an indirect message to the player's mother after a controversial event. Marley Miranda said the influencer, again, Gabrielle, needs to ignore those who hurt her. Gabrielle, never allow anyone to extinguish your brilliance or rob you of the joy of living. Learn to ignore those who hurt you, overcome your difficulties, forget them if you have to, but never ever give up on yourself. God put you in this. So, okay, I can understand how the young lady's mother is trying to stick up for her, but my curiosity would be, how would, obviously there's a dispute going on, and this is what's funny to me because Brazilians will refer to uh somebody's, if a guy has a girlfriend and they're not married, it's just, boyfriend girlfriend, they will still refer to the mother as the mother-in-law. And I'm just like, okay, they're not married yet. I don't know, why do they put the tag mother-in-law there? I guess it's just easier to say. But my question would be, if Gabrielle's mother had a son who was a soccer player and she saw uh, the young the and if she was in that position, what I'm asking, and she saw a girl come into her son's life, how would she react if she knew her son was going to sign a multi-million, contract to play soccer somewhere? I just wonder if the positions were switched. People always look at it as from their position, but what is the other position? I remember um, it was a big deal. I don't know, it was about I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks ago that the popular singer Mary J. Blige, she made headlines when she issued a statement because she was mad because her ex-husband, I think he's getting like 30,000 per month from her after their divorce settlement. And she was clearly unhappy with that. And then, men were looking at it like, well, how is it that women only look at this when Mary J. Blige says it, but they don't see the unfairness in divorce decrees when men have a lot of money and they end up shelling out up to half of it or more in divorce settlements and child support and all of that. So it's always a question of, how would you react if the shoe was on the other foot? Anyway, on the web, comments supported the mother's stance. That's saying Endric's mother. If it weren't for his conditions, she'd never be with him, just so you know, one person said about Gabrielle. Let's remember that despite being rich and famous, he is 17 years old, and every mother acts cautiously, said another. I hate to say it, but I say that a girl of her physical profile would never date a guy of his physical profile if he were not a soccer player, said another. He's still a teenager and not old enough to get married anyway, added another. What are they talking about here? If it weren't for his conditions, if it wasn't for the fact that this guy was going over to Europe and he signed for a contract for 60 million euros, the question is, would this young girl, 21-year-old, they say social influencer and student, would she be interested in Endrick? Because I've talked about this numerous times, for the life of the blog and for, my few years here on YouTube. Uh, in general, the white man is the coveted trophy husband in Brazil. Uh, Fans and people who follow soccer have been saying this for years. These women only get with these guys because they're going after the bag. A young black man growing up poor, he doesn't have the options. He's not going to have women breaking down his door to get to him unless he has something to offer. Unless he has, in this case, and we've seen it with numerous soccer players over the years. And Brazilians say it all the time. I remember there's been several stories when I lived in Sao Paulo that people would tell me about, like the particularly white or near white women, like they don't want nothing to do with black men. But then suddenly they find out he's a soccer star or he's got a huge career ahead of him. All of a sudden they change their minds. So we can never say what this young lady's intentions are, but this is how people are seeing it. It's not, I'm just a reporter. I mean, yeah, I see the same thing, but this is what Brazilians are seeing who are commenting on this situation. Okay. Some comments compared the situation to the TV program Casos da Familia or Casas de Familia. This was a TV program in Brazil where people, it was, you know how you got those crazy talk shows, you remember like, I don't know, Ricky Lake or Jerry Springer, these types of shows where people come out and air their dirty laundry. This is what Casas de Familia was all about, and this situation with Endrick is reminding people of situations on that particular show. Casos de Familia is a program. I think it was on Brazil's TV channel, SBT. Okay. So I want to get into some other comments here. This is from the Alan Soares IG page. Alan Soares is a Black Brazilian who I like to follow. And this guy has spoken openly about, look, you know, Black men and Black women in Brazil, y'all, we need to understand that we need to be together. That's the only way we're going to get out of the situation that we're in terms of the position of Black people in Brazilian society, because we grew up indoctrinated with whitening our family. So Alan Soares has spoken out about that as well. So he has something to say about this particular incident. He says on his Instagram post, I see a family who go to great lengths preventing their son from becoming another character from Jordan Peele's film. What do you think about the case? Tell me here in the comments. So what film is he talking about? He's talking about Get Out. Okay. In Brazil, this was a popular movie as well. It was translated as Corra, which means run. Right. So anytime a situation like this comes up with a Black athlete and a white woman, people immediately start talking about Corra or Get Out. It's not just in the US where they have this opinion. Okay, so let's see. What are people saying in the comments here? Okay, I'm going to just break down each comment one by one. What racial literacy did this family give their child? Are they not reaping the fruit of ignorance? What he's saying here is that, again, Brazilians don't, particularly Black Brazilians, don't grow up understanding what it means to be Black, because they're taught we're all equal in Brazil. Brazil for many years denied the fact that it was a racist country. So without this education, they go into the world, they suffer racism and they don't know why. They still have this prevailing idea that love has no color. And, this is starting to change because people are starting to see the reality of what Brazilian society really is. Next comment, does Endrick see himself as Black? It's a sincere question. Did he imagine himself with no money and no fame if he would still be with this blonde girl? Now, that's a crazy question, because does Endrick see himself as Black? Because Endrick, as you can see, he's not a light-skinned guy. Let me see. Let me pull up a picture here. Endrick's not a light-skinned guy. But it's really funny because in Brazil, you can still have it where even people who have dark skin don't necessarily see themselves as Black. They'll see themselves as a moreno. Who knows how Endrick sees himself? I haven't heard the guy talk about race. Maybe one day he will. I remember Neymar, I think it was about 2014. Of course, everybody knows Neymar was one of the biggest soccer stars to come out of Brazil in years. And one day, he said in an interview that he wasn't Black. Now, of course, Neymar is several shades lighter than Endrick, but people also looked at him and like, huh? Same thing with the guy Ronaldo said he wasn't Black, right? Anyway, I'm not going to be sidetracked by all of that. Let's continue to go on with these comments. Never is many things, but if you understand Get Out, you understand everything. So people are agreeing what the original comment said. The next comment says, it's cool that I don't want to it's cool that I don't want to defend the mother-in-law nor an overprotective mother, but this mother, she's not wrong. A 17-year-old boy getting married, so am I obligated to defend her? The Black mother protecting her offspring from nocturnal dangers with the laughing emoji, right? Nocturnal dangers, right? Next comment. I watched this film and I was horrified. I heard the white girl saying that she wants to have a child with him, wants to marry with all this for yesterday, and has already advanced a contract with him. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because Endrick and Gabriele had this type of contract about their relationship, right? Next comment. I'm with his mother and I won't let go. Who gave birth to him was her. She knows what it is or will be good for him. I think it's good that he listens to his mother. So everybody's behind the mother in terms of how she's speaking out for her son. Somebody else says, get out. It says Corra right here. Somebody else accuses her of being a Maria Chuteira, again, a gold digger. Next comment. Wait, is he being forced to stay in this relationship? How easy is it to blame the woman, since to have a relationship, you need the consent of two people? I mean, I get what this person is saying, but at the same time, Endrick is 17 years old, and Endrick has done a number of things, in the last 6 months that would just lead you to believe that, he's 17. He probably doesn't really see what's going on. I would say this. The mother is sticking up for him right now, and I'm wondering if that family plans on moving to Spain when he finally makes that transfer over to Spain. Because what I'm saying is, if he goes over there alone with that woman, a girl that's 4 years older than him, Who's to say what's going to happen in the next 6 months? Next thing you know, she pops up pregnant, and basically she got the bag. So it is it is his decision. But I'm saying, I know at age 17, I would not have been looking at a situation like that. I'd have been just looking at it like, oh, I like her. That's it. So I think it's more than, is he being forced to stay in this relationship? The question is not only like what somebody else said, is he racially conscious? Does he know the history of popular Black Brazilian sports stars, you know, marrying and starting families with women who are either white or nearly white? There's a whole thing behind this because, people have talked about this in the United States in terms of what happens to athletes after they retire, because the same thing happens in Brazil. Anyway, somebody else says she's very much right. Somebody else says, let me see. Okay, I already said that point. Somebody says he could get a pretinha, he could get a black girl, and this black girl could easily be me. Somebody's laughing here. I have to talk about that as well. Malcolm X said it better. Brother, run from the white devil. You deserve a black woman. That's what it says here. Irmão, foge do demônio branco, merece mulher preta. Right? White Karen just F's up the black man's life. Branca Karim, right? So they're obviously, somebody's familiar with how people talk about this in the States. But this person is saying that the white Karen just F's up a black man's life. That's what this person wrote. Next comment. He could get a little black girl, and that black girl could easily be me. Okay, I already said that. The black mother is always right. A mãe preta sempre tem razão, is what somebody else wrote. Striker Endrick and his girlfriend, Gabrielle Miranda, have a dating contract with very specific and clear clauses signed by both parties. I just talked about this. I'm not going to go through all of the things that they have in this so-called contract, but this is what Gabrielle revealed during an episode of the Pode Delas podcast, which came out a few Fridays ago. The contract details the terms and conditions agreed upon by the couple to guide their emotional journey. Gabrielle even shared some of the specifics of the contract, whose clauses range from the prohibition of acquiring addictions to the obligation of expressions of affection, such as saying "I love you" in any context. The contract also establishes the importance of always innovating in the relationship, doing something together to get out of the routine, as well as valuing honesty, exclusivity, and the prohibition of arguments in public. One of the other things I saw in their so-called contract was that when they're in public, they have to hold hands. This is funny to me, the importance of always innovating in the relationship, doing something together out to get out of the routine. So she's already looking forward and be like, I'm bored. Heard that a lot, and so, this article, this video touches on not just the relationship, not just the aspects of who athletes marry. It goes into the whole idea of relationships and how legalities are tied to relationships. When you talk about divorce and talk about alimony and child support, all of this is going to play in, and I'm not sure that Endrick is necessarily seeing this. I'm going to talk about this in the future. The 5 main reasons professional athletes go broke. Now, this is an American article talking about this, talking about, basketball, football, baseball, hockey players. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I am going to do a future video about this. This video talks about the same thing from the Brazilian perspective. More than 90% of soccer players, they declare themselves broke after 5 years of, ending their career. So this is not something that just happens in the United States. 80% of soccer players after 5 years are in debt, and 20% of them after 5 years go into basically bankruptcy. They're broke. We see this. Let me see the errors that make soccer players broke when they're. Now, this is an article this is Ronaldo, obviously. This article is from 2012. As I said, I have to do an article on this in the future. Okay, so this is a video that I did, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago. Brazilian soccer players with the highest estimated transfer values. This is Endrick. He's one of the 10 or 11 Brazilian soccer stars who are in the top 100 of highest transfer value players in the world. Endrick, in one of the videos that I posted a couple weeks ago, says, I like him blonde with blue eyes. Soccer star Endrick roasted online for his preferences. So people see this. This is why, why do black, soccer players always seem to choose blondes? It's not even just blondes, just women who are not clearly black. Not going to go into that again, because look into the catalog of the channel in the blackbraziltoday.com blog. You see a whole lot of discussion about that. And this is what I was talking about. Shaquille O'Neal's ex-wife recently went public saying that she doesn't think she ever really loved him. It says, I never loved him. Right? There's people on here questioning. Shaq O'Neal's ex-wife admitted she never loved him. The couple was married in 2002, and then they divorced. Let me see. Shaq responded. Shawnee O'Neal never loved Shaq. There's other. Somebody were asking. I think it was Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, and they were asking, like, well, why did you marry him if you didn't love him? Does that need do I really need to explain why that is? Obviously, I think they know the answer and everybody else does. But the question that I have is, why does she feel the need to go public and say something like that? I don't get it sometimes. I mean, she's obviously well off. She made money from being with Shaq and leaving Shaq or whatever. Why go public with something like that? Maria Chuteras, this video I did, I think probably last year, how Brazil's, this is part two, this is a part one, how Brazil's soccer gold diggers get fame, money through top players. This is part two. This is another young black star. I think he was from Rio, and he signed a big contract to go over to Europe, and that's what his girlfriend looks like. So we see this repeat over and over, which is why this is a big topic. Why do black soccer players who denounce experiences with racism always seem to have white wives? The whitening process and transfer of black money continues. 76% of Brazil's World Cup stars marry white women. Is love really colorblind? This is from 2018. Let me see. This is the last one. Brazil's World Cup team and their women, color doesn't matter. Does color not matter, or is this a fear of the dark? Because when you go and look at what a lot of the athletes, what the women look like that they choose, most of them, even if you say they don't necessarily look white by American standards, they're clearly lighter skinned mestizo women. They're women who you can look and say, well, I don't know what she is, but she's clearly not black. So that's why I wanted to talk about this video today, because it's a hot topic going on in Brazil. Everybody's talking about this. I mean, again, why did Endrick's mother cut the girl out of the picture? What does she see? I think she sees what everybody is commenting about, and she obviously agrees, and she's trying to protect her son from what could be some ulterior motives coming from his girlfriend. So want to know what you guys thought about this video. Definitely like this video, share this video, drop a comment in the comment section. Let's get a conversation started here. Consider subscribing to the channel if you've seen more than a few videos that you liked. Click on that notification bell so that you'll know when I put up new videos. And with that said, I'm going to end the video here and request that you all come back and check out the next video that I post.